Hello everyone. There are students who would have just got 70 to 72, 73, and then there are students who would have got in the range of 77, 78 this year. Those who got 77, 78, maybe you may feel that you have come very close to the expected cutoff this year, right? But that is not the only reason for you to be happy about. Similarly, those who have got 70 to 72, you don't have to feel unhappy that there is a 5 or 6 mark gap between your score and the prelims cutoff this year. There is no correlation between the two. But what is more correlated to your success next year is basically how have you approached the questions? How many questions have you attempted? What was your mental state when you made your attempts? These are the factors that is going to decide whether you will clear prelims next year or not. And just coming so close to prelims cutoff is no guarantee of a success upcoming year. Let me walk you through two different performance sheets that students have done and given to me. These two performance sheets are reflective of the larger aspirants' performance. So, when I walk you through the two performance sheets, you will be able to actually figure out why would I appreciate somebody who has only scored 70 to 72. I feel they have a better chance of cracking in the next year. Whereas then I have a performance sheet of somebody who would have got 77 this year, but still I'm skeptical. I'm not very convinced that this aspirant will be able to perform better next year. And let me walk you through that. So, first, what you find here on the screen is a student who has made an attempt, and the student has, as I have instructed, the student has done an analysis of their performance. As for those who are watching this video for the first time, please do watch a video link I'll be giving in the description and the comment box below so that you can know how to scientifically make an analysis of your 26 failed prelims attempt. Alright, so this is a PDF sheet which the student has sent to me. When I go through it, at the end of the sheet, I'm able to find the student has only attempted 64 questions. And out of 64, 43 has turned out to be right, 21 is incorrect. The net score is 73 out of, or 72.14 out of 198. Right? I'm very hopeful about this particular student. And I find a persona, I find a character, I find a personality which I can actually see when I go through this PDF sheet. The personality is very suitable to crack prelims next year. And let me tell you what it is. So, the student has got set C, which had geography questions first, right? So, if you see, wherever the questions are marked EC, the student has actually perfectly got them right. Most probably. But then there are some exceptions. That is what I have marked as the remediation that the student has to do. For example, who log Gibbons? Who log Gibbons is an easy question, very expected question, and this is something that the student has missed out on, right? But there are very few such kind of questions. Most of the questions the student has left unattempted are of the moderate, mostly of the, all the difficult type questions, mostly the student has left it unattempted, right? So, I can see a very good sense of prioritization of questions. The student is not approaching every question as if something is to be attempted. So I find a very good sense of prioritization, which ones need to be attempted, which ones need to be avoided. I find a very almost perfected discipline with respect to that. Next, after let's say 40 questions, let's say after 40 questions, right, in which history was also there. In set C, question number 20 to 40 was history. I'm sure history was like a confidence destroyer this year. Even after facing those history questions, after 40th question, if the student can continuously get a series of questions right, and all of these are not bookish questions, these are all questions which are related to current affairs, which are related to your English and logical skills. It is only with all of that you can get this batch of questions right. Right? The question on 43, 44, 45, 46, 49, 48. All of these are questions which are a reflection that you are able to calmly handle these questions despite facing a severe setback like the history questions. I find a very correct mindset here. I find somebody who can control and tame their senses. They are not giving themselves, they are not yielding to the fear that UPSC had created in the history questions. That's the kind of a strength of personality I find here. Very useful in cracking next year. Things are going fine for this aspirant, right? And one more reason why I'm hopeful about this aspirant is the scientific mindset is well developed. Okay, the question on LLM, the question on stealth technology, all of these are pretty much, it's a function of how scientific you think, right? And even though the student has gone wrong in the drones question, they had some minor doubt on the terahertz, but still I find science is more or less, it's working fine, right? So that is also a positive sign. And because you can easily develop factual knowledge about history, okay, by reading books, by getting to know facts. But a scientific mindset, scientific approach, I would say that that's a harder thing to develop. And going right in those type of questions is very encouraging, right? And you see, even the deep ocean mission question, I see a strong sense of clarity on how to work around with the statements given, even though the exact question may not have been, prior preparation would not have been done, still the student is able to find out a way of handling with the question, right? And it's not some random attempt. Whereas the next aspirant I'll show, wherever I have marked it as difficult and moderate, where learning cannot come to your help, the student would have got right. But that is no reason to feel happy about. You should only feel happy about if you have got all the easy questions right, all the difficult questions if you have left out, and the moderate questions, maybe wherever it is not too factual, if you have got it right, I see a positive sign over there. Okay, so that is exactly what I'm able to find, except for a few shortcomings which I would have pointed out here, right? Look at the performance, just 64 questions attempted, and the person was not panicking after the exam hall. It's not, the student is not feeling compelled to attempt another 20 more questions without any logic or rationale to attempt. That kind of instinct taming is something which I really admire and which I really feel positive about. I'm not saying everybody should attempt less number of questions. I'm just saying for this aspirant, I see that as a strength. And definitely with minimal amount of interventions in the upcoming year, if the question paper is going to be of the same nature next year, the student is going to clear next year. Because why? One more year into preparation, and that too with this confidence that just with such a minimal number of attempts, 64 questions, and I have just come so close, that is a strong reassurance for the aspirant himself. But whereas look at other aspirant, attempting 85 questions, 90 questions and still only coming to this point, that student will feel clueless. I have done everything I can. I have even gone and attempted till 90, but still I am not able to crack prelims. That doubt will keep on lingering in their mind even in the upcoming year's preparation also, right? So I see a very healthy trend here. So that is why I have given, you have done it very good. I see a very confident mindset and a very topper-like attitude in the way you have attempted, right? The only insights, the only advice is strength and polity, because very easy scoreable questions the student has missed out on that, right? So everything is in place. Just more finesse has to be developed in factual awareness on constitution, right? So similarly, avoid attempting questions that are just facts. Maybe one or two stray attempts has also costed this aspirant. If this kind of a disciplining can still be pursued in the upcoming months, right? And species in news is something that's very easy. Anybody could have attempted and got it right. Why did the student miss out on that? So this student has missed out on 2 or 3 highly scoreable questions. Say for example, the question on committee, the question on Wholock Gibbons, who would not have got that right? So there's a high chance. So that's why I feel very positive about this performance. So when I look at this PDF sheet, I find out a character of a person, right? You may only see, when you look at this PDF, you may feel expertise and command in different subjects, but I think that's very variable. That is variable, that is of no use, that is of lesser use, because UPSC can always increase and decrease the weightage of different subjects in the next year. So targeting individual specific subjects and only strengthening those subjects, I feel is of lesser use, but strengthening this personality, that's more important. The personality is very good here. Now, let me show you another aspirant's sheet. So what you find here is another aspirant's sheet, right? Let's look at the summation of their final attempt. 85 questions attempted, 77 is the score. Okay, So when you look at it from outside, it may feel this aspirant has performed better than the other aspirant. But I feel there is a better hope for the first aspirant than this aspirant. I'm not saying this aspirant is hopeless. They have to just do the right kind of disciplining in the upcoming months. There is more of personality development for this aspirant that is needed in the upcoming months than knowledge development. Right? And why do I come to this conclusion? The conclusion is, wherever there is a difficult question, the student has actually somehow got it right. And the logic that is given for getting them right is also not about, I have read about it, I have learned it from so and so book. But it's more like an intuition has worked for me in that moment. Okay, some wrong logic has helped them figure out and get an answer right. Okay, very wrong direction. You see, for example, this question on Kshetra Patni, it's a difficult question, right? It's a very factual question. This is ideally a question that should be left unattempted. But this question, the student has actually attempted it, got it right, but it is not at all something to feel happy about. Why? Equated field and forest. Okay, but I don't know what is the logic behind field and forest. So Atharva Veda was chosen. Maybe I think the student is confusing Aranyakas with Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda has nothing to do with forest. So you see, a wrong equation has led to a right answer. Means is wrong. Ends alone, if it is right, you may be lucky if at all you clear, but it's not a reflection of your capability to definitely clear next year. Right? So similarly, yeah, it's like almost all the difficult questions, you see, all of them are attempted. Okay, so that's why I've remarked here, you are blindly attempting questions, even though when it is factual. Okay, it is a blind attempt. Okay, so that is why I'm very fearful. I'm more concerned about a performance like this. Okay, when a performance like this is given to me, I am more skeptical. I don't know whether this aspirant will really improve in the next year or not. Because it is more driven by a compulsive obsession to somehow attempt the questions. It is not a rational, well thought out decision to attempt some questions. Right? That kind of a mindset is where it is problematic. You see, I have marked here. Again, this is a difficult question. Why would he attempt a difficult question like the constitutional articles, whether it is specifically mentioned in the constitution or not? Got it wrong, I eliminated the second statement and ended up in a wrong option. This is a very difficult question to attempt, right? The constitutional articles, whether it is specifically mentioned in the constitution or not. Why would he even end up attempting this? So this is where the concern lies. Yeah, so now look at question number 23, 24, 25. Right? So here, these are all easy questions. Easy question, he's getting it right, thought in the same lines as Sir's logic. Right? But when it comes to moderate and difficult question, he is just going crazy about his thought process over there. The only solution for this aspirant is, this aspirant has to start cutting down drastically on the number of attempts he makes. But then the student will not feel very confident about doing it. Why? Because subconsciously they have embedded that only when they go beyond 80, 85 questions, they are even able to come close to the prelims cutoff. So if they are not able to, they should be able to realize through some kind of a dedicated training, they should be able to realize that, yes, I have built in the skills only to select correctly the easy and the moderate questions. So whichever questions I'm now going to leave are actually the difficult questions which I should not be attempting. And that should be very, very hardwired into them. You know, their practice is not to go and attempt more and more number of tests. But it is even with a limited number of tests, their practice that is necessary for the student is to hardwire this understanding inside them about the necessity to leave a lot of questions unattempted. Right? So, this is why I feel the earlier aspirant, the remediation is different, and I'm very hopeful. Why? Because there is just so much of scope to attempt more number of questions right. But for this aspirant, he has almost exhausted all the easy questions, almost got them right. But it is his negative performance which is actually pulling him down. And rectifying this negative performance is an even harder task than for the first aspirant, where the aspirant has to simply enhance their knowledge part. This is more of a personality development that has to take place, which is a little hard, which has to be done, cultivated on their own with a lot of thought process going into it, with a lot of introspection and self-reflection going every time when they attempt a test paper. Right? So that's why this aspirant has more working and tweaking of their personality, of their belief system about this examination, about what they think has helped them come close to the cutoff year after year. Okay, and this is an aspirant who has not cleared a single prelims, but every year he comes close to the prelims cutoff. Okay, and it is only this year I'm looking at his performance. All right, so I hope you have some clarity. Be correctly mindful about where lies remediation. Be correctly mindful about, is it your personality that needs reworking, or is it the knowledge aspect that needs reworking? Okay, if you cannot do this process yourself, please send your PDFs to me. Right, and this is how I am handling the students' PDFs one by one and sending them my remarks. So some of your PDFs maybe still not be given to you as my review. That's because there is just so much of backlog. But definitely I'm here to clear all these PDFs one by one with time. All right. So thank you.